Bad News from the Clinic is the 5th episode of the 2nd season of 2.5 Men. This one's directed by Pamela Fryman, and it is a good episode, but I found it to be quite repetitive. And on the one hand, some of the repetitiveness was very, very funny, but on the other, I don't think it needed to be quite so repetitive to get the point across, and they could have mixed things up a little bit. But generally, I enjoyed this episode. There will be spoilers from now as I go through various aspects of the narrative and share some thoughts. Obviously, because it is repetitive, there's not that much to talk about, or at least there's not that much variety. It starts off with Jake, Charlie, and Alan in the kitchen, and it's wonderful. Jake's having dinner, Charlie's stealing his food. Jake learns the word procrastination as he's procrastinating from doing his homework, and this is something we see repeatedly. And I will say, most of the comedy, for me, the things that I found to be the funniest, the comedy comes from Jake and his responses. I just thought he was absolutely fantastic in this. And then Charlie reveals he's going on a date, and this was with a woman called Sherri, played by Jeri Ryan. And we learn quite quickly that Sherri basically treats Charlie the way Charlie treats other women. For example, they've slept together and then she tells him to leave because she's got to get up early. And there are other things, and we'll see these as we go through the episode, where she doesn't exactly treat Charlie in the kindest way. But at the end of the day, if that's how Charlie's treating people, can we really feel bad for him? A little bit. We then cut to the following Friday. Jake is again procrastinating from doing his homework. Charlie again has a date with Sherri. This time we get to go to a restaurant. It's a nice setting. It works really well. I really enjoyed that. And then Sherri cuts the date short, or at least at the end of the meal, she says she's going home alone. And Charlie's very confused by this. What I do think was a little bit of a problem with this episode, and I'm really nitpicking, it's not really a problem, but when Charlie gets home, Jake is doing his homework, and we've already established that it's 9:30 at night when he leaves the restaurant, so it's probably nearer 10 o'clock, and I don't think any child should be doing homework at 10 o'clock at night. I feel like that was bad parenting on Alan's part, because a child of Jake's age should at least be winding down for bed on a Friday, if not in bed already. So that was a little bit irritating. And again, we have more repetition, but I did find a lot of comedy in Jake, so I can't complain too much about that. And then we get Rose coming over. Charlie has stolen Jake's ice cream, and then Rose comes over and she shares this theory with Charlie, and Charlie realizes, and I quote, "I'm dating myself." And he realizes there that this is how he treats people, and it's finally coming back to bite him. And then the rest of the episode plays out with him trying to get his own back, and it's fine. Things play out well enough. Charlie does get his own back, and as Sherri points out, who is actually winning here, because Charlie ultimately doesn't get what he wants by getting his own back. So there are definitely lessons in this to be learned, some lessons about how people treat people and how it might come back and bite you. But it's not the most varied episode. We have some good moments. Jake, personal highlight for me. But in general, it's an okay episode. I wouldn't skip it. I definitely wouldn't skip this if I was watching season 2. But I also wouldn't choose to watch it. I don't think. It's not a personal favourite. But other than Jake doing his homework at what must have been 10 o'clock at night, there are no real issues with this. A little bit repetitive. Could have had a little bit more variety. But in general, Bad News from the Clinic is still a pretty decent episode.